First order of business will be, we must approve two people who are calling in, and that'll be Danny Kelch and be Mr. Rosenbaum. So if I could have a motion. Thank you, Sharon. Second, Betty. Calling for the vote, signify by saying aye. Well, you want to vote this one by, see, I thought, Megan, you want to vote, mine's not open. I got it open now, but I can't vote. I'm not able to vote yet, Megan. I know I brought it up, but do I have to hit the X? I got to get out of that. Well, what? She had me in everything.
Yeah, you're already okay.
And what? But see, it's not.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the motion carries. Okay, moving on into our, and I almost lost my cover here, so I better get my, okay. The first item of our committee is the information items, and we have Brian here. All right, Brian, if you want to make a report on that.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Going to vote for the minutes. Need a motion on the minutes. Motion by Betty, second by Matt. Any corrections to the minutes or changes of any type? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pardon me, vote. I'm sorry.
Ask how Dan wants to vote.
What?
Kelch just said he's out there. You need to ask Dan how he wants to vote on this. Kelch.
I need to ask for the vote of Mr. Rosenbaum and Mr. Kelch.
I vote aye.
I vote aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. I figured it was going to. Anyway, but I wanted to wait and see that it's official up there. Brian, we'll get you now. I stumbled through this so far, and we have the Greater Peoria Sanitary District minutes.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in your packet, you have the January 21st minutes. For the benefit of the new members, there are a few items in there that we do every year, like annual cleaning and inspection contract, the lighting contract, and erosion control. So if anyone's interested, I do have maps of all that I can share, just email me and I can get them over to you where those projects are going to be. So happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Any questions? Thank you, Brian. Our next one is the facilities master update, and Calvin, if you want to inform us about this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the facilities master plan, a few updates here, starting with the jail. We do have 54 units ordered for the sink conversion, with 110 complete to date. The ring road, I did reach out to Knapp Concrete, is the contractor doing the phase 2 ring road. I'm waiting on a response for a start date now that we have the weather breaking for us. Here at the courthouse, for the probation remodel, we do have a start date of the 17th of March. The Main Street steps and the Plaza Foundation, of course, are put together. We do have another meeting tomorrow and getting closer to a start date for that. The building exterior enveloping cleaning, still in progress. We're about 20% complete. As you can see, they're working above head now. And with the circuit clerk in the order of protection remodel, hopefully have the phasing and schedule in tomorrow so we can get it reviewed and get it started. And down at the highway, we have a pre-construction meeting Wednesday for the salt dome and the fuel station. Happy to answer any questions.
Anyone with questions for Calvin?
I have a few.
Go ahead.
Okay, hey, Kelvin, is Mark there with you?
No, he's not.
Okay, I want to respond. Remember last month, which I hope you took it as constructive criticism on the heating down there in the circuit clerk's office, that before I came over here, the day before I left, I went down there, and I'm telling you, if you're the one responsible for getting it done, it was actually warm down there. Not one heater was going, not one person wearing a jacket and all that. So if you're the one, that I want to say thank you on behalf of those people down there, and in the judge's chamber, the same thing. So when I come back, I'd like to just see the worksheet that what was wrong, unless you could just answer it right now, that's fine. I'd just like to know what was it that, caused it not to be warm enough for those people.
It was just a mixture of resetting some set points for the air handling unit itself.
Boy, that's great. Now, will it affect the reverse this summer on air conditioning?
That is a totally different system, so we'll have to adjust accordingly with that.
Okay. And then I think at last month's meeting, I asked, do you have any of those reports for like the last 6 months that, issues were taken care of down? And I don't care if it was at the courthouse. And I assume, do you not do the health center? Someone else take care of that?
We do not do the health, correct?
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Okay. And yeah, if you could, I'd like to meet with you this week if I could, if you got time. I went down there to your office twice before I came over here, and I even got on that phone and never got an answer. So if you can get back to me, I'll be back in Illinois tomorrow afternoon, but anytime Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, like in the afternoon, if it's better for you, I'd like to meet with you, go over a few items. And then I just have one more comment to make. Who takes care of the county jail and the JDC? Is that you at your department?
No, that is lead engineer Sean Stanley out at the jail, and Michael
Okay,
Wright.
so you don't have to look over that or anything then.
I do to a certain point. I rely on Sean to take care of everything out at the jail.
Okay. Yeah, I think they had a problem last year and all that stuff, and I'd like to go over with you in private and then, kind of report to the board later on down the road. In regards to, I think they had a unit that went bad, and they had the guys that work, the deputies out there that worked that I talked to in the field, I guess they had to hire their own JLG rig or something to place some unit on the rooftop. And I just want to make sure that somebody is taking care of that stuff, looking after over there too, so we don't have the same thing that happened down at the courthouse.
Sure.
So, maybe you and I can talk, and we'll drive out there. Let's take a look at it together. But I do want to commend you if you guys took care of that. Again, those people were happy when I went down there. So I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Calvin. Okay, the next one has to do with funding and sources of some of our projects and so forth. Heather, thank you.
Thank you. In your packets, you have the current through February 13th. And one item of note is we've received pay app number 19 from River City for the HHS building, which includes retainage being billed out. So we've not paid that, but we did just receive that. So if you have any questions on any of the other projects, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions for Heather? And you're ready to handle the next one then?
Sure. Is it all right if I do it from here, or do you want me to come up to the podium? Okay.
What are you comfortable doing?
Okay, great. I'll just stay here. I think you guys should be able to see everything on the slides once we get them. Just have a brief presentation on the, at Member Rulin's request. We're just going to provide an update on the financials to date for the Health and Human Services building. Obviously, the building is being utilized, but there are still some invoices coming in and a few items either not yet ordered or completed. But the most expenses have been incurred, and we're just going to report on the almost final numbers. Thank you, Scott. All right. So I just want to start out with, due to the prudence of the team that was working on this project, we are thrilled to report that not only did the project come in 1 month early, which is really heard of in a construction project of this size, but it was also well on track to finish well under budget. So the table that you see now, it shows the various funding sources that were approved by the board at the April 2023 board meeting. The initial funding source split was $4.95 million from the health department, which consisted of $4.7 million that they had intentionally built up in their reserves over time, plus a first installment of $250,000 from the Solid Waste Management Fund. And then $16.63 million from the ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act Fund, $500,000 split between the general fund and capital projects fund, and then an additional $250,000 from the solid waste management fund. And then, as you'll recall, additional funding was approved at the May 2024 board meeting out of the Information Technology Services Fund to contribute to the project for all IT-related expenses. So the total project budget came to $22.9 million. And of that total, the county has spent about $20.7 million to date, with an additional $1.45 million outstanding on open purchase orders or pending expenses that we know are coming. And of that total, about $1.3 million of it is retainage due to River City. So this leaves a current unspent balance of about $783,000, or a savings of about 3.4% of the total project budget. Just a reminder, there are a few things that are still outstanding. The number will shift a little bit, but I don't see any significant shift. Next slide, please.
Heather,
Thank you.
or Coach, while we were on that slide, can I ask a couple questions? So it says, so is it technically 500,000 from the solid waste management fund, because you're showing solid waste twice on there?
Yes. So the initial $250,000 was transferred in, I believe, 2022 to the health department fund. And so it's being expended out of that fund. So that's why I highlighted the split between the two. The last $250,000 for solid waste management was to be the last amount spent. So we have not spent anything of that last $250,000.
And so then the last question would be, of the $227,244.84 of ARPA dollars, how is that allocated going forward since it was on this project, and do we have a path forward for that, or do we keep it there as a continual maintenance fund, or how do we move that forward?
So we have a couple of options. We could reallocate expenses to ARPA from this by doing journal entries and then spend the ARPA balance down. Or what I would recommend is leave that balance available to contribute to the construction management projects. We technically over-obligated ARPA just to be sure that we had it all spent. So any funds that are not spent on this project could go toward, basically we wouldn't have to be obligated for any of the interest that would currently be obligated on the contract management.
Okay, so that money can then now be rolled back into the other ARPA funds?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. This next slide shows a little different breakout. I thought it would be helpful to show what different types of project expenses there were and where the savings is being realized. So the GMP budget is the guaranteed maximum price budget. All of that $18.6 million budgeted there is the River City contract for construction. Currently, we have everything obligated on that with the outstanding amount of allowances or contingencies that have not been spent as of the date of this report. So $107,641 was still open. It could still be billed, but at that moment it is still available. And then the non-GMP soft costs, so that's design, architectural, furniture, fixtures, equipment, material testing, utility connection fees. There was $3.67 million budgeted for this category, and of that, we have about $539,000 remaining that has not been spent or committed at this time. And then finally, the IT-related costs, where there was a $583,000 budget, we spent $447,000 to date, leaving a balance of $136,000, and that was for all kinds of things, servers, laptops, displays, AV equipment, security, all of those items. So anything that was budgeted in the IT services fund unspent will go back into the IT services fund. And then finally, we'd be remiss not to emphasize the early completion and the 4 value-added enhancements that were included, and we still came in under budget. The rooftop patio, the sidewalk snow melt system, community room partition, so it can be 2 rooms now instead of 1, and increasing the functionality, and then the north parking lot. And I just want to point out that especially the sidewalk snow melt system will save us on operational costs going forward. So I think if you have any questions, I think myself, Administrator Sorrell, or Member Ruland can probably answer.
No questions for Heather? Thank you, Heather.
Welcome. Thank you.
Coach,
Yes.
I do want to comment though on those value adds though, on to Administrator Sorrell and Member Ruland, good value adds. I mean, a lot of times people just want to cut and cut and cut, but these were actually considerable, well thought out, especially from the rooftop patio one, which for anybody talking about, if you have never been there, the rooftop patio is actually an outdoor entryway off the lunchroom for the employees. And when I was there the other day, everybody commented on how nice that is, especially when the weather will be able to get some out, not have to leave the building and get some outdoor area. So for $23,760, that's not typically what you would see from, if you had hired somebody to try to manage it, they would cut and cut and cut. These are true good value adds that make the facility a way better in use. And so thank you for that.
If I could comment on that, these items, with the exception of the snow melt system, were part of value engineering items we took out prior to the original approval of this budget. And that made the project doable. With the exterior finish rebid on the exterior cladding, we were able to put some of those things back in and still finish 700 and what's that number? 700 and some thousand under budget, 783 under budget. So when you add the 200 in value added items, this bumps really close to $1 million under budget. I'm continually impressed as I think about that. And this project was, I hate to say it was set up to win, but it feels like this was, I don't know, I would think, maybe not so much Heather because she's very conservative with the county's tax dollars, but Administrator Sorrell and myself both felt like this was going to be a win, and it always felt that way from the beginning. So putting these things back in, great plus for the building and the people that work there, and we still get to finish well under budget. So I'm glad you recognize that, Chairman Dillon. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. Moving on, our administrator will handle our next question on our strategic update.
Right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you'll find this quarterly strategic plan update in the packet. There's a handful of initiatives that are associated to this or tied to this committee. The materials there in the packet, so I'm happy to answer any questions. And also just to plug a reminder for Saturday, March 22nd, we've got a half-day retreat for the board to review everything that's in the quarterly report, and then to have a discussion about what priorities we can check the box on and consider them complete, and then what are some new priorities that you might want to add. So happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Scott? Okay, we'll move on to our resolutions. We have 4 resolutions before us today, and need a motion on the first one, which has to do with Smithville Road. Motion by Terry, second by Marcy.
Good afternoon. This bridge is on Smithville Road, about a quarter mile west of the International Guard entrance. It's a 229-foot long bridge constructed with precast concrete I-beams. This is one of only 3 bridges we have of that type. The bridge was constructed in 1987 and does have a sufficiency rating of 88.8 out of 100. Last couple inspections, we've been noticing expansion joints are going bad on the bridge and are causing the bridge beams, abutments, and support bearings to start deteriorating. And so we want to kind of get these repairs done to this bridge so we don't let it go so far that we'd have to replace the bridge. This would be a multi-million dollar bridge to replace. And with a little bit of work ahead of time, we can get it back in good condition. We'd like to do an agreement with Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley in the amount of $135,180.
Questions? When I saw that rating of 88, I thought, gee, this bridge didn't last very long.
It's still in really good shape, but it's the joints at the end of the bridge. The expansion joints have fallen, they're coming in. You can see there's some deterioration to that, to the beams and to the bearings. So you just need to get it. It's like painting your house. You're just going to have to do it. So make it last.
Any other questions or comments? Vote. I'm sorry, I got to ask the other 2. I'm forgetting you guys are out there. Just Kelch? Okay, Kelch.
Yes. Aye.
I don't want to forget you, Danny.
That's all right, Phil.
I have an aye vote also, Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Rosenbaum. Passed unanimously. Thank you. I guess I didn't see it flash up there. All right, the next one that just going to cover before that, we got to have a motion to get it on the floor. Motion by Sharon, seconded by Matt.
Every couple of years, we go through and do a repair project on our guardrails to try to get everything put back together. We usually try to limit it to about $250,000. This year, we had several locations that needed repaired, so we put it out for bid. We only received one bidder. That was Northern Contracting out of Sycamore, Illinois, for $127,780. They're well under our estimate, so we feel confident in awarding the bid to them. 2 years ago, when we did this project, they did the work also and did a good job for us. The board had approved or had appropriated $260,000 for this project back in November, so we're way under our original appropriation. We have had several, and this is 3, but since then we've had 4 additional locations that have received damage. that we'll add to this contract. That will be about another $15,000, but we'll still be way under our appropriation, and we can get all the repairs done.
Questions? Vote. Vote, Paul and Danny.
I vote aye. Bill, Paul.
I vote aye.
Passes unanimously. Jeff's going to handle this next one as well, and we need a motion to get this on the floor. Motion by Betty, seconded by Mr. Dillon.
Annually, we do a agreement with Bradley University to manage our pavement management system. They go out every year and they analyze half of our roads, determine their pavement condition index for us. We've been doing this since 2008, 2009. This year, the contract is $30,062, which is real close to what we spent last year.
Any questions for Jeff? Betty?
Yes. Hi, Jeff. You indicated on that this contract will update one half of the county's highway networking. Would you elaborate on that?
Sure. So I haven't looked to see exactly what roads they're doing, but usually they will do like the north half of the county, and then the next year they'll do the south half of the county. So.
Any other?
Oh, I just want to add,
Go
then
ahead.
is there a future date for the other parts of the network?
So we'll do. We just received last year's data last week, and they uploaded it into our software. And then this agreement will get and do the next half of the county that needs to be done. So
I see.
we just do every other year. So like let's say Airport Road. Airport Road is done every other year.
I
Rolling
see.
Hills Road is done every other year.
Gotcha. Okay.
No other questions? Vote. Paul and Danny?
Aye.
I vote aye.
Carries unanimously. And our last one, we need a motion in regards to this road concerning windmills and so forth. Motion by Marcy, seconded by Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So before you is an engineering agreement with Hutchinson engineers. The scope of the work for this agreement is to prepare a traffic impact analysis and to provide technical assistance as the county negotiates a road use agreement with Four Creeks LLC. Just to remind everyone's memory, back in January of 2022, the board approved 3 meteorological towers for the Four Creeks LLC entity. You approved a 4th one in April of last year. Four Creeks has been collecting their wind information to decide if they're going to place a wind energy development in the northwestern portion of the county. And they have been going through the process of getting individual private lease agreements with landowners in that area. This this agreement, as I said, is to get to a point where we'll have a road use agreement. The road use agreement is required to be approved by the board before they can file their special use application for the wind development itself. So this is a critical path step. On the executive committee agenda tomorrow is a reimbursement agreement. That agreement will creates the language and the necessary contractual obligations where Four Creeks will reimburse the county for 100% of our costs incurred with Hutchinson up to $80,000. You'll note in the agenda briefing that the agreement with Hutchinson is an amount not to exceed $80,000. So therefore, while we'll front the cost, Four Creeks will reimburse us dollar for dollar for the entire value of the contract. Not to go too deep and dive into the reimbursement agreement that's on the executive committee agenda, but it's at executive committee and not here because that agreement also has reimbursement has legal fees associated with the road use agreement as well, and so it's both a legal fee reimbursement and an engineering reimbursement. What's before you today is just the contract for Hutchinson to do the road impact analysis and to provide the technical assistance during the road use agreement negotiations. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Now, Scott, would you explain to him this lawyer from over here, Heil Royster, was it Andy Kite?
Andy Kite, he's sitting in the audience today.
Yeah. What now?
Mr. Kite is in the audience today.
Thank you. Would you explain what his situation is with us?
So Mr. Kite's been retained by the state's attorney's office, as all outside counsel is, that provide a number of services related to wind energy developments. First, been providing technical assistance to planning and zoning for various text amendments to the Unified Development Ordinance. Land Use Committee will be considering those amendments at their meeting here later today. Mr. Kite has also been working with us as our official point of contact with Four Creeks and their legal team, and will be probably taking the lead to some degree on the actual negotiations for the road use agreement. And then once we get into the point where Four Creeks has applied for their special use application for the wind energy development, then he'll be providing technical assistance to the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Land Use Committee, and the full board, along with the state's attorney's office, obviously, as we progress through the actual special use process. Jenny, did I leave anything out that Andy's doing?
Nope.
Okay.
That covers it. Yep.
Okay.
So he's basically our person.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else with any questions or comments? Vote. Paul?
Aye.
Danny?
I vote aye.
Resolution passes unanimously. Moving on with the Discussion. Anybody? Yeah. Go ahead.
I do want to just highlight, and I don't know if you would want them to talk about it, but I consider it a really large deal that the highway department has hired another engineer. So Ms. Josie Esker, that was the City of Pekin engineer, has come to join our team. So that adds 3, counting Amy and Jeff, 5 engineers, plus some material handlers. That's probably the most fully staffed that we've been in, I can ever remember, since they've probably been there. So that's a big addition to the team, especially with her expertise to be joining them. So glad to have her part of Peoria County. And I've served with her on other boards. She's a sharp individual.
I'd like to make a comment. I worked with Josie down in Pekin, and I tell you what, you couldn't have a better person to come in and help out. She's a good lady.
Anyone else?
And since we're talking about new employees, welcome, Tim, to your first meeting. Tim Shelley, our new addition at the, you might know him from WCBU, but he is now as part of our communications team.
Thank you.
His grandfather was a good union plumber, too. Probably the best plumber I've ever worked with.
Ooh.
Johnny Marks. No one quite like Johnny Marks.
Ouch.
Anyone else under discussion? Public comment?
Oh, we have a new civil attorney? Oh, man. All sorts of firsts today.
Yep. I was gonna, go ahead. We have Essence Hill back there as our new civil ASA. So we're back to having 3. So you'll see me, Mike, and now Essence at meetings as well. And she's wonderful. Day 4, all good things so far.
Public comment.
You have miscellaneous?
We're not too miscellaneous yet, Danny.
Okay, that's why I didn't know if you had that yet.
No, not yet. Moving on, now we're at miscellaneous, Danny.
I just want to say to all of you, thank you for the sudden death of my wife. It meant a lot to us.
Thank you very much. We all appreciate you and your family, and you've been in numerous prayers.
Thank you.
Under miscellaneous, I just wanted to thank Scott and Heather. They pointed out to me the Peoria County grants that potentially could be eliminated under the federal freeze, the funding there, and we could really get jabbed if this would happen. So we got to truthfully, be concerned about that. But it showed each department and where the yeses and the nos were, and so forth. And those are available because Heather printed me off one the other day. Anything else under miscellaneous? This meeting is adjourned.